Hey guys, it's Miranda. So today I feel like the best way to kick this off would be to kind of go back to not necessarily when it all started, because I don't have any, that was more of a dream. So I don't really have anything to show for that. Not a lot, like more like just, anyway, just stuff that's like, oh, I want to do that. And maybe a few like journal entries. But that's about it. Anyway, so I want to go back to what really kind of got this ball rolling for me, which would be, I believe it was back in 2018 when I went to go see my uncle in Florida. And the reason I say like that's the one that kind of started it all is because that's when I went out, I bought a GoPro. I, started making sure my phone had space on it, which if you knew me well, you would know that that's something that's very difficult for me to do. I always got so much stuff going on. But yeah, so now somebody's gonna get on me about my dates. So we're in 2020. What I filmed was in 2018. Yes, it's only 2 years ago. However, a year before that, I wanted to start this. So that's my 3 year before I actually, got on vlogging. Well, officially putting it out. I've been vlogging for a while. I just haven't actually compiled it, released it to the wild. So, yeah. The reason I want to go back to, 2018 is because that's when I really got into, I bought a GoPro and I actually was like, I'm going to make this happen. I was going to Florida with my mom to go visit my uncle, two of my favorite people in the same place, and it was a 5-day trip. Now, what was really cool about it is I hadn't really traveled a lot in that time. So, like, I had traveled, but, like, it had been a spell. I didn't really go anywhere other than like maybe a couple hours away from where I lived, which at the time didn't really feel like that was that cool. It just wasn't worthy. It wasn't grammable. It wasn't like anything I could be like, oh yeah. So I decided to take this 5-day, trip as my opportunity to get this started. I don't know what I thought mentality wise, like, I mean, looking back on it realistically, thinking that, those 5 days were gonna make me, some great sensation on the gram. I don't think I posted anything from that trip on the gram, honestly. Maybe like a pizza? Okay, so I feel like, eventually I would like to get into showing you how I do I'm a product photographer. I feel like showing you how I got into my product photography, talking about that, showing you kind of what I do, a little behind the scenes action. I think that would be fun eventually down the road. Definitely want to get into some Photoshop stuff, show you how I do things. I've been told multiple times by people that they just really want to see what I do, and how I do it. So the whole point of, being a photographer to me is being able to tell a story. And I mean, I think any photographer would understand that. Any videographer for sure is going to understand it. Telling a story is a really big deal. So when I went down to Florida 2 years ago and I recorded all this on my GoPro and I had my phone on me and I was like taking videos at like every chance I could, and I was like, oh yeah. I just was documenting chronologically what was happening. Now I did try to put this together before, and I don't believe I have the file. I mean, I don't think I ever got anywhere that was really like exportable, but I think the whole file itself got, deleted. But don't do that. Pro tip, do not delete your stuff. Never know when you're gonna need it. But yeah, so telling a story is a really, really big deal. And it's not the easiest thing in the world, especially when you aren't scripting it. Now, granted, that's not saying it's the hardest thing in the world to do either, but it does take, a lot of time, and it does take effort, and you really got to think things through. So my primary focus is photography. I am a product photographer. I do portrait and lifestyle photography. And the biggest thing I learned from my last job was storytelling. And I always knew kind of in the back of my mind, like, okay, yeah, that's the thing I have to do. But it became really clear to me there, and I was able to hone my skills in on telling a story. And as a photographer, now this might get some controversy. I feel like photography is far more, I feel like it's more difficult in a way than videography. I feel like videography is a little more complex. I mean, you have a lot more moving parts. However, I feel like the skill behind taking one photo and telling an entire story through one image is a little harder to do than being able to have a bunch of cuts and motions, and you can pan the camera, you can make people move the way you want to move, you can zoom in, zoom out, you can get intimate and really close, or you could be like, whoa, girl, back up. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot more leniency, even though there's a lot more working parts with videography. And as a photographer, I feel like when you have one shot to tell your story, and a lot of photographers strive to be able to tell that story straight out of camera. So they're not doing a bunch of heavy lifting in Photoshop. Yeah, they'll go into Lightroom, they'll correct, they'll brighten, and they'll darken areas to make it more moody. But I'm one of the photographers, which I strive to be that way. I believe, there's a lot of greats out there that can do that. Me personally, I am a Photoshopper, always have been, always will be. I'm 13 years, I believe. Yeah, 13 years. I am a Photoshop veteran of 13 years. So that can tell you how long I've been in it. So if I don't like something, it's coming out and I don't think twice. That being said, stories are the basis of either of those. And again, you want to get an emotion out of somebody. So while I went down to Florida for 5 days and I took the video and I shot it and I did it all, chronologically as life was happening, I came back and I wasn't able to tell a story. I wasn't equipped to do it. I didn't know what needed to happen, what order it needed to happen in. And I tried to put it together chronologically because that's what made sense. Now, granted, this doesn't always work that way. Maybe that was a part of the reason the whole YouTube thing didn't happen. I mean, I am a perfectionist, as you've heard from other sources at this point. They're not wrong. They really are not wrong. So really the biggest thing to me is being able to tell a story and, like I said, pull an emotion. And I want to be able to do that. And I feel like now I'm better equipped for that. At this point, I've started this. I'm not going to go back. So whether or not I'm where I think I should be or think I am, I'm going to make this happen. So we're going to kick this off by going back 2 years. We're gonna go back 2 years to when, this all got going and this thing was brought into my life. Love this thing though. Can I just go on this little thing? I bought it for Florida. Bought it for this trip specifically. Went hiking with a friend, and that is that's its own mini series. And ooh, I like that. No, we'll make it a mini-series. We'll make Florida a mini-series. I got 5 days worth of footage. I could probably get a couple videos out of that. I think that'll be fun. We'll do that. But yeah, so this is my friend, and I took this out hiking actually with me. First time I really used it other than the drive to get there. First time I really used it. That was a experience I will make a video on that, and everyone that watches it will probably be like, this is the nut job that we now watch. You're gonna see how cray cray this girl can be. Pretty extreme. But yeah, so went hiking, crazy trip, came back. I did live. Didn't think I was going to. She lived. I don't think she thought she was going to either, and the dog made it out. So we all went in whole. We all came out alive. While we're all trapped inside and have nowhere that we can actually venture to, why don't you travel back with me 2 years to April of 2018 and let's relive this Florida trip experience together.